Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to lay out a big adventure I've got planned for September of 2023. You've probably seen my videos of me slowly upgrading the 4Runner to become a more capable overland vehicle. Well, this trip is the reason all of those upgrades are happening. Before we jump into all that though, I want to talk quickly about how I came up with this idea and my good friend Dennis. Late one night, during what I can only describe as a severe bout of insomnia, I had YouTube on and it was just auto playing. And eventually it came to a video where a gentleman was driving as far north in Quebec as he possibly could. Now I live in Maine, which is not that far from Quebec. I'm about 2 hours from the border. And so I was immediately intrigued. After doing a little bit more research, I wrote to Dennis the next day and said, hey, I've got a crazy idea for an adventure. And Dennis, without skipping a beat, immediately responded with, I'm in. No explanation of what I had dreamed up, no questions about price, no questions about where we were going, just a willingness to go along with a crazy idea that a friend had dreamed up. Everyone should be as fortunate to have a friend in their life who's willing to just go along with a crazy idea their friend might have. If you don't have a dentist in your life, I recommend you start taking applications. All right, now back to the trip. Simply put, the Trans Taiga Road is a road in northern Quebec. And when you reach the end of that road, when you go as far as you can drive, you're closer to Labrador than where you started at the beginning of the road. You're also 745 kilometers or 462 miles from the nearest point of civilization. That makes it the furthest you can drive in North America on publicly accessible roads and be the furthest from people. It's the most remote place in North America you can drive to without having access to special gates or roads from an oil or Hydro-Quebec. So that's the what, but why? I don't have a good explanation. It's there. The draw of this place is its sheer remoteness and emptiness. Just to get to the start of the Trans Taiga Road, you first have to drive up the James Bay Road. And the James Bay Road is the longest service-free stretch of road in Canada, the second in North America. Only the Dalton Highway and up in Alaska beats it out. The Trans Taiga Road was built by Hydro-Quebec in the 1970s after they acquired the land from some, I call it dodgy, actions from the Native Americans. The road was put in to build 7 generating stations and the dams that support those generating stations for the tune of $17.5 billion. Those 7 generating facilities generate more than 15 gigawatts of power for Quebec. Astonishingly, that's nearly half of the load of Quebec. The Trans Taiga Road is still used today to service all of that infrastructure. And in fact, I'm sure we'll see Hydro-Quebec trucks up there. This trip and the plan that I'm about to go over took a tremendous amount of work. I was able to glean quite a bit of research off places like YouTube, but I found the best resource if you're interested in doing this trip to be jamesbayroad.com. Now, the website is a bit dated based on today's standards, but it's got all the information you need, including a kilometer by kilometer chart that shows you what is where along the roads. This is critical, both for camping, fuel, and frankly, just scenic overlooks. And while this is the first planning video, there will be more before the trip where I go over preparations and considerations for things like tires and fuel and cooking and tents and kind of everything that goes into a 9-day trip like this. All right, all that said, let's jump into what the actual plan is. Day 1 will start on Friday after work. So 5 or 6 in the evening, I'll start heading north. Dennis will leave from near Rochester, New York, and Shelby and I will leave from Raymond, Maine. We had originally planned on just driving to Vermont on the first night, but after discussing, we decided it would be better to get across the Canadian border and get that out of the way prior to the first morning. With so much stuff both on and in the truck, we envisioned being stopped for hours first thing in the morning and then getting stuck in Montreal traffic. Not the best way to start the trip. We're gonna be staying in Mont Tremblant that first night, On day 2, this is where we actually start the trip in earnest. We will leave Dennis's truck somewhere in the Mont Tremblant area, most likely at a park and ride, but there's also parking available at the mountain. This first day is all about getting to the James Bay Road, which is the real backwoods start to this journey. We'll be headed up to a town called Matagami. On this drive, we'll first head up Route 11 to Val d'Or, where we'll refuel before heading to Amos and the start of Route 109. Once we're in Matagami, we have a few options. We could stay at a motel there in town, or we could fuel up, including filling our reserve tanks, and head towards the St. James Bay Road. If we do that, and frankly we're likely to, we'll check in at the checkpoint at kilometer 6 to register ourselves. From there, we'll head north to kilometer marker 37 to Matagami Lake Campground. With no stops, this real first day should take between 7 to 8 hours and represents 534 kilometers or 330 miles driven on that first day. We'll make camp and settle in for our first night on the road. Day 3 is where we'll actually see the Trans Taiga Road for the first time. But first we gotta get there. There's quite a bit more driving to do just to get up to the Trans Taiga Road and see things along the James Bay Road. We'll make a few stops along the way, I'm sure, whether that's to enjoy the views or maybe throw a fly. But it's critical that we hit the gas station at kilometer 381. This will be our last gas stop that isn't on the Taiga Road itself. We'll be sure to top off to the max here. We'll then continue to kilometer marker 544, which is the start of the Trans Taiga Road. I'm sure we'll get out, take a few photos, and then it's back in the car for another 56 kilometers to Sakami Lake campsite for the night. Without stops, this will be nearly 10 hours in the car and 534 kilometers or 350 miles. On day 4, we'll wake up at the campsite, and this has the potential to be our shortest day driving of the entire trip. Because we won't be driving as long, we plan on getting a bit of a later start and maybe going for a swim in the lake to freshen up before we head out. After that though, we're back on the road and headed to kilometer marker 358, which is where Mirage Outfitters is located. Mirage Outfitters is a place where they have cabins for rent, they've got a restaurant, and more importantly, they've got fuel. To get there, it's possible, depending on the fuel mileage we're getting, that we may have to use one of our jerry cans just to get to the Outfitters. At the time of this recording, we are hoping to stay at Mirage Outfitters, but I called and they won't take our reservation until August, so there's a chance there may not be room for us and we'll have to continue on. But assuming we do get to stay there, there's a bar and a restaurant and some nearby fishing holes to check out. If they are full, then we'll need to fuel up and find a place to set up for the evening. Perhaps a bit out of character, I'm gonna be an optimist and say we'll find some beds there. If we do, day 4 will close out with 4 hours of estimated driving with 302 kilometers or 187 miles under our belt. Day 5 is where it happens. It's where we reach the end of the road and we reach our goal. Starting out at Mirage Outfitters, we'll get a solid breakfast in us and head out on the road. From the Outfitters, it's 308 kilometers or 192 miles each way. This means we'll be stretching past the Forerunner's tank capabilities once again. The extra fuel we bring along will be critical. We'll get to the end of the road, take some photos, look around, and head back. Turns out there's not much to see there. Our intent is to then once again stay at the Outfitters that evening. Our drive time on the 5th day is estimated to be between 10 and 12 hours, depending on stops. That's 616 kilometers or 382 miles driven that day. Having reached our goal, we'll start to head back to civilization on day 6. First though, in a common theme, we'll have to refuel again as it's 323 miles to the next gas station and the Forerunner only gets 300 gallons to a tank, so we'll have to fill up the jerry cans once again. Leaving the Outfitters, it'll be 356 kilometers or 221 miles back to the start of the Taiga Road and on to the James Bay Road. Once we're on the James Bay Road, we'll head south, stopping again at that same gas station we hit on our way up at kilometer marker 381. Once we've topped off, we'll head to a remote campsite at Lac Rodea at kilometer marker 389 for the evening. Day 6 estimated drive time is approximately 12 hours with 711 kilometers or 444 miles clocked on the road. If we've managed to hold this schedule, day 7 should start in the woods and end with a hot shower and some cold drinks. We'll wake up and have breakfast at our campsite, And once again, we'll pack up and head down the James Bay Road. We'll stop at the guard booth at kilometer 6 to check ourselves out of the wilderness. We'll once again need to stop in Matagami for fuel before heading south, but we shouldn't need the jerry cans after we reach this stop. From Matagami, we'll once again have to stop in Val d'Or for fuel before finally arriving back to Mont Tremblant. Once we're back, some showers will be in order, and if we have time, we'll go out to dinner in the mountain village. Our estimated drive time for day 7 is 788 kilometers, or 484 miles. Days 8 through 10 are all about stretching our legs and relaxing. They also afford us some flexibility if for some reason there's a hiccup on the Taiga Road. But assuming we get back, we'll explore Mont Tremblant, perhaps taking a hike or a gondola ride to the top of the mountain, or maybe we'll just go swimming. One thing we are absolutely going to do is hit the Scandinavian Spa for some thermal therapy. It's an amazing place, and if you're ever in Mont Tremblant, you have to go. At the end of this stretch, we'll say until next time to each other and go our separate ways, bringing this adventure to a close. All right, that's the plan for the adventure in September. It's my big adventure for the year, and I'm really looking forward to it. Stay tuned to this channel for more planning videos, as I mentioned earlier, where we'll go over considerations like fuel, camping equipment, communications, and anything else that we may need to pack into the vehicle to make this possible. All right, and with that, I'm off to do some more of that planning.
I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to EJ Does Everything for more awesome content like this, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.